Today we are doing primarily Key Stage 2, and we're talking to you about how we teach maths at the school. So we follow a calculation policy, and you'll be able to find all the ways that we teach the children in different year groups in our calculation policy. And each teacher will then demonstrate what the 4 operations look like in their year group. Once children are taught the concepts, obviously we then apply the concepts to a mixture of a range of more complex reasoning problems as they go through the school. So they might start off really in year 3 and 4, certainly for the first 2 terms, we are just teaching them how to actually add, subtract, place value, all those fundamentals. Really, 3 and 4, year 3 particularly, is a real crux of what we need to teach children. If they can't get it right there, we cannot move them on. So if we don't teach them how to learn maths properly, and how to apply it when they get to secondary school, and they have to learn algebra and all those different things, they cannot do it. They can manage to make their way through primary school as a mathematician, and they can be competent at maths at primary school level, but suddenly at secondary school it obviously ratchets up another gear, and then we find children really do have problems with maths. And if you're one of those parents who says, I couldn't do maths, then you're probably one of those parents who was taught by rote. So lots of parents, my age, obviously you're not, most of you are not my age, but my age we were taught by rote and we were not taught why we are doing what we're doing. So the way it works now is we actually teach the children the concept behind maths. So why we are doing it in a way. So Miss Mead will start off very much without petitioning, so that children are understanding a number, the value of number, because that's really the most important thing. And then you will see why children later on in maths become more competent mathematicians. So we don't teach them set methods until we know they are ready for set methods. Because as soon as you go to that very kind of formula-based maths and you just teach them a concept, they literally learn to do it and do not understand why they're doing it. I don't know how many of you do the whole, well, I just literally borrow from there, 9991. That's what I do. I still do that. And actually, as I started learning about how I taught children maths, I was like, well, I get why I'm doing that now. It makes complete sense. But until that point, we all learn that method and don't actually understand why. And then maths becomes more difficult as we go through. So we don't teach them how to actually use a formal methods until we know they are ready for it. So it might be in year 4, it might not be until year 5, but at some point in their learning and their education, we teach them those formal methods. We use white rows to help us with our planning, and this is to ensure that we have different areas of maths. So we have fluency, which is where we teach them how to be fluent with the operation. We teach them how to reason with it, and then how to apply it and problem solve with it. Mrs. Harvey is going to go through the infant idea of maths, and at the infant stage you will see there's much more manipulatives, and as we go through the school, obviously children can still use manipulatives, but the idea is they use them less and less, and they're able to apply it without needing to use those manipulatives in concrete. At the end of the session, if you could fill out a little form for us, that would be great, and I'm going to show you very quickly on our website where you may find anything mathematical that you might need to look for. So on our school website, I've put up 2 documents. So you see information for parents, and it says progressing calculation for parents. So if you're not sure and your child is stuck, this is literally on the parent page. So I go up here, this is just the tab that says parents. So that is the parent page, and it's at the bottom of the parent page on the school website for parents. If you scroll all the way down, and I believe it's also on the maths page, you will see progressing calculation. So I've got one of those undone. You literally click on it, and it shows what it looks like in year R, year 1, year 2, and how we teach them. So that's a really valuable document if you're not sure. So for example, so this is what it looks like in division. You can see here, this is year R, and the children are doing problem solving, doubling and halving. They're using practicals, they're using hoops. They're actually dividing up actual concrete apparatus. In year 1, very similar. We're now looking at dividing in 2s, 5s and 10s. They might still be using concrete apparatus like bends, like hoops and different things, using sharing circles, and then they go on to doing it, and you can see they're starting to understand it, apply it and reason it, using things a bit more abstract but still pictorial. And then it goes through, as you can see on the progression document, what it looks like in each year group. And there are also some examples on our document, so you can see the reasoning and the problem solving that goes behind it. And then it goes up, obviously, you go up to year 6, and then in year 6, you're looking at that very simple, very, I say simple method of how we actually use division. It looks very difficult, it's long division, but by the time the children have been through all those processes, they actually understand that division is simply repeated subtraction, because that's really what it is. So that's what the method is here, and it shows them how we do that. Again, we use bar models, and we do things like subtraction within fractions and all those sort of things as well. So it's not just division as it is, so multiplication, division with fractions as well. So that calculation policy is on there for the 4 operations, being addition, subtraction, multiplication, and this one out, divide, division. And 4 operations, so those calculation policies are there. I'm now going to show you the white rose. So this is the scheme that we use. So we very much use a white rose. So most of you would have probably seen this when we were home learning. We use a white rose a lot in our basics. So if you literally type in white rose, click on it, and you'll see advice and guidance for parents. So if you go into advice and guidance for parents section, it will tell you about how the different areas are taught. And we're going to watch literally a very quick clip. So let's get started in here. And if you go to Maths with Michael, watch a series, and if you look at the top here, this is a bit I'm going to show you now about how has maths changed, and ultimately maths hasn't changed, the way we teach it has changed, but maths is maths. And then it goes through the different areas of maths as well, so they are kind of the key areas of maths. So if you're stuck and you do want some support and want to know how to help and support your child, go on to White Rose. You don't even have to have login or anything. You can go on there and it will show you some different methods of how your children will learn maths. So hopefully.
Hello, I'm Michael Underwood. I'm a teacher and a parent, and I'm working alongside White Rose Maths to help support other parents to help their children with their maths work when they're at home. Now, this episode is slightly different because we're looking at the reasons why this mini-series is going to be important. And it's because parents like myself and you have so many questions and sometimes find maths a little bit confusing. So today I've decided I'm going to speak to one of the experts at White Rose Maths, a lovely lady called Jess Easton. She joins me now. Jess, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Michael.
Now, I know there'll be many parents watching today who will be thinking, has maths changed? Because when I look at my child's homework, it is not how I remember it. Is that the case?
That's actually a really good question. Maths hasn't changed. We are still teaching most of the same methods that you will have been taught at school. However, the difference is that we sometimes look at different representations of the maths. Using things like 10 frames, place value counters, or bar models are some examples. We also consider multiple methods for some problems.
Now, you mentioned multiple methods there, and I know many parents will be wondering, why do we teach our children all these different ways to do the same thing? Wouldn't it be easier just to teach them one way?
That is definitely the reaction we get sometimes from parents, which I can totally understand. We often, as teachers, are conscious of not overloading the child's working memory. However, by looking at multiple methods, we are encouraging flexible thinking so children can start to choose the most efficient method, which may not always be the same. The reason we look at multiple representations is so the children grow a deeper understanding of the maths behind the methods.
In maths, there are definitely shortcuts that can be taken to get you to an answer more quickly. But I know that we tend to teach nowadays by going the long way round. Why do we do that?
I think what's really important is that we don't only teach them one way of thinking about a problem. Each individual method and each individual representation shows something slightly different, and we really want to give children every tool we can so when they come to solving a much more challenging problem, they've got a toolkit to use.
Now, some parents might wonder why we spend so long teaching them the basics, and it seems to be quite a long time that we're using place value and we're looking at what numbers represent and all of that. Why do we put so much time into that and not move on to the next thing more quickly?
From research, we have found that focusing on building blocks of learning maths, so place value, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, can equip children with the skills to be able to access the rest of the curriculum much more easily. Studies have proven that these firm foundations of these topics allow children to access other areas of the maths curriculum more easily. That's why you see these topics heavily featured at the beginning of each year, and it's why we often link back to place value and the 4 operations throughout.
Now, I'm working with you and the team at White Rose Maths on this mini-series to support parents. Why is this so important?
I think we wanted to help parents as much as possible to support their children at home, and I know that especially for some throughout lockdown, this has been a real challenge because it feels so different from the way they were told. So we wanted to provide some guidance for parents which would allow them to support their child at home with any work being brought home from school.
That's great, Jess. Thank you so much for talking to me.
You're very, very welcome, Michael.
So there you go. Now the mini-series has already begun. Episode 1 is available to watch now, and it's on place value. And you'll see very quickly how important place value is when it comes to your children's learning in maths. If you have any further questions, then make sure you leave a comment in the comment section. And for more details...
Okay, so that just kind of gives you that overview of why we teach as we teach. And again, as I said, you can find these on Whitecrow, and there are videos for all those sections of the areas that we teach in maths. Okay, so I'm going to move over to Miss Mead now, I think. And Miss Mead will tell you what it looks like in her school class, obviously with the children have started from the juniors, and how she starts off and bridges the gap from year 2 to year 3. There is a big jump in the curriculum from year 2 to year 3, and she'll explain to you how she bridges that. Okay?